Oh, hello. Thank you for having me again. Yeah, so it is definitely a Halloween weekend. Unfortunately, this Halloween is a little quiet. Believe it or not, I usually already see decorations and all that fun stuff around, but it's a little quiet this year as it was last year. But hey, you know what? The world is opening up little by little, so it's still gonna be fun and I'm having company later, so that's gonna be fun. And we're gonna have an awesome dinner. Looking forward to that. And we don't know what we're gonna eat yet though, because it's we're gonna order. So that's gonna be fun to be able to order in. Uh yeah, and all is good in the hood over here. Gonna rain a little bit, but not too bad. The heavier stuff is gonna come tonight, and there's your weather forecast for today in New York.
Oh boy, it sounds like we're doing a little bit like in Milwaukee. There's a TV station that did a commercial campaign for their channel, CBS 58 out of Milwaukee. They're pretty well known around the Milwaukee market for its slogan of all the news, weather, and sports in just 10 minutes. So Mariana Waikiki, you got anything to contribute in news, weather, or sports out there in Hawaii? Waikiki, what's going on, Marianne?
Aloha, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. You
Okay,
betcha.
great. Well, aloha. Several things are swirling around the islands over here in Hawaii. So grateful to be here, and thank you, Transform You Media Network. So much amazing things happened this week. So I want to just start out with the present this morning. Not to be superstitious or suspicious, yes, so to speak. But I read my horoscope, and my horoscope said to be careful of trip and falls because you don't want to incur medical expense bills. So I'm like, okay. I told the neighbor lady, I said, I'm going to sit outside here in the patio. I'll watch you work. I'll coach and guide you and support you on the ladder if you're hanging up anything. But I'm not really going to kind of do anything. Well, guess what happened? We go down to the beach and we're out there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's just senior citizen Jim and I. And we're like, wow, we got the beach to ourselves. There's no sailboats. And there's always this gentleman out there that's picking up trash early in the morning, and we chit chatted. I wanted to give him a copy of my book, Underwater Acts of Kindness for Ocean Cleanup. And oh, by the way, guess what I received yesterday? My co-writer, Suzanne Sims, sent me an email that the USA Today newspaper announced that they a company is using a machine called Jenny, and they have accumulated 60,000 pounds of plastic from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Wow, isn't that amazing and impressive? So I got to do a little PR with my book, Underwater Acts of Kindness, yesterday that you have received, and Emily and Denise will get one to you. And the back of the book talks about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, how my sign language sea creatures tackle that Great Pacific Garbage Patch and to be of service. So the universe is putting me together. And oh, by the way, back to that suspicious horoscope this morning. Well, guess what? We started walking on the beach, getting ready to go swim. And I got my new swimsuit today. Kurt, don't I look like a seal slash octopus?
Oh,
Anyway, there was actually jellyfish all over the beach, and they were live ones. So I so giving me a prerequisite thought that, hey, don't. And Jim goes, oh, just go by yourself. And I go, I'm going to wear flip flops. Anyway, it was just another sign. So not only that, signs of aloha, sign language, signs of sea creatures, signs of the USA Today, and 63,000 pounds just to start again with this amazing computer, I don't know, robot generator. I'm not sure. I think they had a challenge. I didn't get that much information off of it, but her name is Jenny. So mahalo to Jenny and the crew that are cleaning up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. I'm actually ordering a couple of copies now to give to the people who are cleaning up the oceans locally here on our beach. And we're going to be connecting with them. So we'll be talking about those in future podcasts with you, Kurt. So I'm so excited about that. And I just uploaded Rabbit Acts of Kindness, and I'm going to be printing my first proof. So all those books are going to be shipped to me. We'll see how the shipping goes over here in Hawaii, because we are having worldwide shipping issues. And it just feels good to have it completed. And I also, Universe again gave me a letter, and from Dr. Ward. Dr. Ward has this amazing house that allows musicians to come down and play. And Lucy Lynch in The Perfect Way, so go out and played there. I actually got to perform and sign with the puppet there too. And all these artists, you can come in and bring wine and cheese and crackers, and just a really nice place, local, but well-known history of it. And he sent me a real detailed letter, as his 29-year-old daughter is a quadriplegic. And she has been awarded some funds from the Department of Education, and he's looking for people to help him to the end of the year and roll it over till next year. So we talked for about an hour yesterday and told him about Happy Neighborhood Projects, to him to join us either today or next week, or HNP ability, especially with our captain, Denise Vargas. And oh my gosh, all this Happy Neighborhood Network, who could I not think of more to live creatively, and listening to what the doctor was kind of asking to help his daughter believe in herself, believe in these other things that are going to happen in her amazing life, that Denise Vargas would be a great counselor, support, live creatively with her. So I'm going to be networking with them, and we'll go with the flow when everybody can introduce herself. But just so happy to share that, Denise may have a client, and we are bringing this amazing and also the other events by anybody can join us on Happy Neighborhood Projects anytime for free, or become a shared member. And we're looking for co-hosts, and we love the fact that you are one of our ambassadors, and Denise is a captain, and actually I'm the sign language interpreter on every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Hawaii. So anybody can come and join us. And also this week I was on Unity Church of Hawaii. We're back having our spiritual classes. Cindy Hensley is an amazing woman who has businesses in Alaska and in Hawaii here. She does chaplain counseling. She runs agencies. So it just felt really good to get back in sync and have that support group. And CJ Rice is retiring from Department of Education, and I've asked her to come speak with us in Compassionate Citizens. So she did give me a commitment to join us in the future, Kurt. So I'm bringing all these amazing people with amazing stories of abilities, and she wants me to speak with the Department of Education, actually the deaf school now, to hopefully find some funding and implement my programs as well. So everything is moving forward. I'm so excited for all this spooktacular events that we're having. And so Rabbit Acts of Kindness is on Amazon. Going to get the print right after we get done here. Going to get the proof. Ordering Underwater Acts of Kindness on Amazon. And oh, by the way, it's on Audible. So anybody can listen to these sea creatures tackling the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And again, USA Today just had an article that they retrieved 63,000 pounds of garbage from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And that garbage, one of them, Kurt, one of the garbage patches is between Hawaii and California. There's at least 7 now that I know of, 7 or 8 worldwide. So I don't know if this is just a start, but this is something that all of us as compassionate citizens can come in collectively together. And again, we wrote an amazing book, and all performed at Ward Rafferty. So thank you, Dr. Ward, and your daughter, and allowing our community to come in and entertain, show our talent, show our skills. And oh, by the way, again, HNP Happy Neighborhood Projects just opened up HNP Talent, right, Kurt? Yeah, we are just expanding and growing. You want to share a little bit about that with our audience and group, and anyone can come speak on your podcast. Can you talk about H&P Talent?
Yeah, H&P Talent Connections is all about bringing in people who have experience in whether it's TV, film, stage acting, musicians, whatever it may be. To think of, if you were to have a talent contest or a talent show, who'd be coming on there. So if you think of America's Got Talent and things of this nature, so all those people who have that type of gift to share with us. That's the inspiration around Talent Connections. And then as far as that goes, it's a Happy Neighborhood Project, free Happy Business Networking meeting. So people really all around the world, whoever they are all welcome to join us for H&P Talent Connections. So thanks for mentioning that, Marianne. Yeah, it's a great addition to our roster of over 75 events available by Zoom through the Happy Neighborhood Project. Again, free Happy Business Networking, the happiest place in the world for business people. So speaking about a very happy place in the world, I think it's a place that kind of moves around a little bit. It moves around with a particular person by the name of Barbara. Barbara, I think anytime somebody's with you, they're at one of the happiest places in the world. What do you have to bring into here, Barbara, and what happiness are you sharing today? And you are on mute.
There we go. We did it. Yeah. And I got to get everybody the links for the laughter yoga that happens every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for free out of Florida, and with my beautiful friend Goddess. And every morning, this morning, we were jumping in the ocean together before the sun comes up. We're jumping in the ocean and we're laughing and we're hugging and we're taking pictures of the sunrise. We actually went back to the ocean this afternoon. It was so nice. It was so nice. And I was feeling very grateful, very grateful to be there with a friend that I can sing with. We have these great songs to sing and laugh and play. And I actually wiggled my way into a 12-step meeting because I've always really admired the people that are willing to fight so hard for love, and I find them to be inspirational. And there's a meeting that happens on the beach. And then I got to be at a Buddhist culture department meeting. And this was Zoom. This was from around the world. And that was all educators, academians, people in law, people in medicine and the healing arts, and people that are doing great things in the world with this commitment that I'm not pointing any fingers out there anywhere. I'm just right here. How do I bring out my potential with the education that I have, with the network that I have to help bring about world peace? And I was so inspired by the brilliance and the sincerity of people. And we were talking about the importance of dialogue, what we're doing here, and the importance of just determining to grow. And we were talking about how we've seen our lives grow, which is really good to get into gratitude, and how we plan it to grow more this year. And that was so wonderful. And I'm so glad to have these things to share right now. You could hear
All
me?
Right. Yep. We heard you. Thank you very much. Just wanted to make sure you were getting everything out that you came ready to share and where you were going. So right now I want to bring in Denise, our co-moderator. We had Marianne talking a bunch of things about you, Denise. I don't know if you want to react to that or if you have other thoughts you want to shift us over to. I'll pass it over to you, Denise, my valued co-moderator. What you got?
But yeah, first of all, thank you, Marianne. That's wonderful that the young lady's father wants her to really see her potential. All too often, I like to reach out to parents of children with disabilities because, they're always going to be their babies, right? Like you can be like my mom in her 70s, getting ready to get into her 80s. I'm always going to be her baby, right? Me and my sister. And we're well into our 50s. So, yes, always going to be your baby. But just because they're your babies, they are not babies, right? They're growing up. They're going to be adults. And some are already adults when they, unfortunately have accidents or grow into a disability. And that being said, we need to tweak how we're going to teach them to be independent, to grow into the empowered person that they can be, right? Teach them to be creative, to live creatively so that they're not seeing what they can't do, but rather what they can do, right? To focus on all of the things that you can do, even if you can't do, a few of the basic daily living activities that everybody else can do independently. Yeah, you might need help with that. But think about all the other things that you can do, all the beautiful gifts and talents that you contribute to this world. And that's really what living creatively is all about. It's think outside the box. Or as Edwin Edbury likes to say, don't even think about that box, throw away that box, right? So absolutely, just really think about other ways that you can do something that is not typical to the way that other people generally do things. One example is when I was driving, I wanted to drive so badly when I was in my teens, just like every other teenage person, right? I wanted to drive, but the equipment that I needed was not your typical push-pull mechanism, which is kind of like these two metal rods that are attached to your brake and your gas pedal, and you push to accelerate, and you push to brake and you pull to accelerate. And I couldn't use that because I didn't have the strength. So I needed something very high end, high tech, and high in price. And because it was so costly, I couldn't get the state to fund it for me. It took me 10 years to get them to fund it. But I don't give up. Once I have something in my mind, I don't give it up until I finally achieve it. So it took me 10 years to get the state to agree to it. But here I was years later of when I wanted to drive to finally being able to drive and have that freedom. And I ended up driving with a technology that is very similar to my wheelchair. I have a motorized wheelchair that I drive with a joystick. And so the van that I was driving, drives just like that with a joystick. So the whole point of the story is that there is always a way. Now, how you get to where you need to get to might take you some time. It might take you some research. It might take you the mindset of definitely not giving up. And even when you have people who love you so much and support you in every other aspect of your life, but when you keep hearing no, 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 even your loved ones say, maybe it's time that you leave that dream and think about something else. Mm-hmm. Now, while they were saying it with the utmost love, I still didn't want to give up. And so never give up and just shut out all the noise. Sometimes we just need to just focus on what we want, get into the right mindset, and get from the I can't into how can I mindset, and shut out all the outside noise and just listen to you. And once you listen to you, the universe will make it happen. Even if it's 10 years later, it will happen. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, we're loving your stick-to-itiveness, Denise. Way to keep going. So this show, the World of Ability podcast, was launched July 26, 2020, 30 years of the Americans with Disabilities Act. We look back into the 80s and we think about the sacrifice that many people, many Americans with disabilities made to prove a point to the hundreds of millions of people around the United States of America and for the world beyond to see that there's a lot of people like the Kurt William Roscoffs of the world that just didn't get it, didn't understand the strife and the confusion and the consternation that people that aren't in the disability create against people with disabilities. I formed friends in the last decade that we now see on film showing a handful of cases right here in Wisconsin, USA, to prove the point that yes, here in Wisconsin and for every state to admit in the United States of America that there is systemic oppression. We have a deep cultural construct that is not serving us well. It's holding us back from unity, to being unified, to live in this full abundance that the US of A and the world provides. And so this is a check-in, folks, right here on October 30th, 2021. Where are you at? Where is the world at to build the bridge, to bring this together and to mitigate our circumstances, to bring us together on planet Earth like we have never seen before? Yesterday, I was in a business meeting. I was invited to a presentation about a company that distributes products and services. And I talked to a leader in another place on earth about my passion to bring people into the direct selling industry like never ever before, that the likes of nobody, including myself, has ever seen. And we're going to make it possible. We have an experimental prototype community of tomorrow that we are working hard to unveil as much as we can each and every day. We are going to ignite the billions of people around the world to, yes, bring peace on earth. Because I wholeheartedly believe that the way to achieve peace on earth is through, in fact, definitely without a shadow of doubt for me, people with disabilities. And so I found myself in a place yesterday where I'm talking to a leader about this opportunity to bring forth for this company greater integration. And what do I find myself in? And I can relate. I've been there before, folks. You take my life and spin it back 15 years, turn that time machine dial back to 2005, and you would be witnessing me not really dialed in either. And so I'm so grateful for the disability community that I tout as the masters of ability, because I have learned more in the last 10 years as compared to the previous 40 years combined. So yes, that means in 1 month, on November 30th, yours truly is going to turn 50 years old, a nifty 50. I'm not in Hawaii, so I can't do the fancy schmancy Hawaii 5-0 thing, but I'm going to be envious of that. But we're going to do whatever 5-0 I can do. It's going to be the Wisconsin 5-0 or whatever I can drum up here. 5-5, Marianne's holding up. I can't drive 55. 5-0, 5-0. So there we go. So, but I want to dive into this dynamic that what happens when we talk about integration is we have 3 out of 4 people that we can have this conversation with being defensive. And like I say, I've been there before. So there is a learning curve in how to give up this defensiveness about our current circumstance and to say, yes, we're only 3% in the direction that we could be. We have 33 times magnification yet to achieve on where we could go, empowering people with disabilities and empowering greatly as well the population of people like I've been empowered, being in the community of people that don't identify with the disability or aren't identified with the disability. And so this is a great opportunity, and yet there is a psychological construct that has been spread around the globe and passed on for hundreds of generations. And so I have the energy and the tenacity to buck this and to say, let's stop this and let's reboot this and let's restart how we treat each other across the vast array of characterizations that people can be given. And so this is dealing with stereotypes and stigmas and things of this nature. So for companies, yours truly, Kurt Roskoff, declares a challenge to the world. Any company that is hearing my voice, you are hereby challenged to identify which side of the fence are you on. Are you on the side of the fence where you're 1 in 4 that are the tremendous demonstration that I continue to learn from? Or are you the 3 out of 4 companies in the world that I would identify as being my partners in this transformational journey? And I felt I was talking to a company yesterday that, yes, has a lot of great example, a lot of celebration for what they do, but again, not even a capacity to say, yes, Kurt, how can we grow 30 times more? And I'd say, I don't have all the answers, but I just have this mathematical mind that I know that it's that huge. And so what executive on planet Earth would not want this opportunity? I ask the world to tell me, to keep teaching me. I want to keep learning. So that's the discussion I want to have. Denise, I want you to respond first. What do you think is going on in the business world as we're talking to thousands of people as professional contacts through the Happy Neighborhood Project, and that through HMP ability and other things, we're trying to reach into this appetite for inclusion, accessibility, and accommodation. And I think, Denise, you join me, don't you? That we've got a long ways to go. What are you thinking, Denise?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, here's an interesting thing about that. I used to work at a facility who, they very point blank said that it's not that they didn't want to hire people with disabilities. It's just that they felt that many people with disabilities would call in at the last second that they couldn't come to work because they're not feeling well, or they have to go to their doctor's appointment, or to physical therapy, or to a number of things that can come up. Their worker didn't come in to help them get out of bed, or whatever be the case. And I thought to myself, one thing that they're failing to see is that because it is so difficult for people with disabilities to get a job, once they have that job, the majority of people with disabilities, there might be those very few exceptions, but the majority of people with disabilities are gonna hold on to that job because they know how hard it was to get it, and they don't want to jeopardize it. So they're going to plan ahead. If they know that they're going to have a doctor's appointment, they're going to tell them well in advance. They're not going to make their appointment for the next day and then call in that day and say, I can't come to work because I have a doctor's appointment. Or if they know that they're having challenges with their workers being late, they may have a backup plan and have one of their friends, families, or neighbors that they can trust and rely on say, listen, my PA didn't show up and I got to get up and get to work by a certain time. Do you think that you can just come and help me out? They're much more creative in order to make sure that they keep that employment than many other people who at the last minute, oh, I want to go out to the beach today. It's such a beautiful day. I'm going to take off. And then they'll make up some excuse, right? So I think that that's one of the things that they fail to see. Now that's one point. The other thing is that it's interesting that the world that we live in now with the pandemic has made it so much easier for employers to be willing to let their employees work from home. This was always something that could have been done, could have been put in place decades ago, right? It was, since the moment that the internet came into play, there was always that opportunity. Employers did not want to incorporate that, even though they could have. There was a way, right? And we always know that if there's a will, there's a way. Now, employers had no choice but to make that happen. If not, they would lose billions of dollars and probably have to close. And because of the pandemic, more employers understand now, and more workers also understand that there's a way that I can be employed and work remotely from my home and work around challenges that I have in my life because of disability or stay-at-home moms, or especially now that so many kids had to go to school at home, right? Another thing that we were able to do remotely. So the world has pivoted to a position that I feel will continue, it will grow, and more employers who adapt this thinking and continue even well beyond the pandemic will not only find that they will have more reliable, creative workers who will find a way to do things, perhaps not a traditional way of doing things, but definitely getting the job done. And if you even think about it from an economics point of
Hey,
view,
Julia, can you hear me?
yes. From an economics point of view, they will also realize that having people work from home, it's going to save them money. I mean, they probably might be able to get rid of their brick and mortar facility and just hire remote workers and grow their business even further and be able to employ amazing people right from their home all over the world. How great will that be? So yes, I think that people with disabilities are essential, creative, phenomenal workers that all business owners need to see. And hopefully, if they're listening today, and I hope they are, I hope that they truly understand that people with disabilities, they want to work, they just need the chance to show how phenomenal they are, how creative they are, and how awesome they are.
Yes, absolutely, Denise. I just want to kind of comment on a few things too. Yeah, 31 years ago, President Bush signed the American Disabilities Act. And at that time, I was a case manager with a deaf community out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And our deaf clients worked at locations such as Goodwill Industries, the post office, and machinery plants doing piecework. And a lot of them had part-time schedules because one, they received SSI and they could only work part-time and could only have a cap at their income. So they did have those days off of working part-time, and it wasn't an issue because on those days off, I did go schedule doctor's appointments with a sign language interpreter, their disability review, looking for housing, AFC. So the clients worked around their part-time schedule. So did their bosses. And we had quarterly reviews to give them pay raises and evaluations. Any concerns if they wanted to change hours or change the department. Some of them excelled, some really like what they love doing and expressed that once they found their niche. And so, yeah, the doors were open way back when. And again, the possibilities are still there. And I'll give you the example too. My deaf friend Scott, he was over here. He worked part-time for an audiologist in the office. And he took some classes in acupuncture, massage, and there was challenges with instructors because he had a service dog and it became too much. Unfortunately, Woofy passed away. That gave him the freedom to continue his education or travels. And he actually got a job with Down to Earth, and he was a frontline cashier, which was just amazing. With a hearing loss, he spoke very well. He lost his hearing at age 7. But he was a cashier part-time for about 6 months. And he had the passion because he liked whole foods and just the fact of being healthy and a healthy mind, body, and spirit, and like the energy there. And so now I want to highlight too, he relocated to California to be with his deaf community. And he's working at the post office, working on a 401k. The DVR, Department of Vocational Rehab, has it set up so that he, again, is part-time so that his SSI or food stamps are not interfered with, or his rent, and transportation, such as the bus line. And he just took classes and became certified for a veterinary office assistant. That was his next passion because he loves animals. And he has a pleasant personality to do that. And he was so excited last week. He got it. And now he's looking forward to his internship. So shift does happen. And when somebody has a compassion, like you said, wants to do it, they're going to do it, right? You got it. If it comes to you, it's for yours to do. So I'm just very proud for all the accomplishments for persons with disabilities, especially people in the deaf community, and the sign language interpreters too, who are there too. Not only they're working with that deaf person. So there's actually 2 people that are working and 2 people that are being hired, Denise, and that fact. And then also I want to comment too, Kurt, with Compassionate Citizens, is that we have millions of moms and dads returning home from being of service, from being in the military, who can't hear their own children or grandchildren. And they are becoming civilians to work out in the workforce. And now they may have a hearing loss or have a cochlear implant so that they can regain their hearing. A lot of them want their hearing back since they were hearing, and cochlear implant is there. And they may be put into the workforce, IT, whatever kind of field that they got into. So employers or employees have to work with them as well as if they want to be self-employed. And working self-employed with a disability too as well. So not only just one deaf community, there's 450 million hard of hearing deaf people worldwide, Denise. So amazing things that we're creating doors and opportunities. And thank you, Jeff Bezos too. We see commercials with deaf employees, Chick-fil-A too. So every now and then you'll see somebody signing, and everybody catch in and see, because you can learn sign language too. So thank you again for sharing your story, Denise. And lots of work to do. And I created my own self-employment too with my disability, with the hearing loss and vertigo. I have good days and bad days. And yes, that was my concerns too. What if I get a vertigo spell? What if I have to lay down? What if I'm so dizzy? I mean, it would just be more call-in days for me versus just not doing it. And then guess what? I created my own book series and app game series. So I work at will, and I'm keeping busy. I'm working 24/7 with Fiverr graphics and the app games now for the app game series. I'm also co-hosting HNP Ability on Thursdays, and really involved with their co-op and timeshares. So you never know what can happen. There's Zoom doors instead of OPA. I would say too, another outside the box. I would say outside the doc box. So outside the Zoom box, Kurt, right? So many other possibilities can open up and lead to other people who are giving us leads. And again, that goes back to H&P ability. Look just what happened to me this week. I got a contact from Dr. Ward, who has a daughter who is looking for other professionals in all areas, teachers, occupational therapists, anybody. And I highly suggested you too. So again, this is a way of showing what our abilities are, living creatively and shining. And there's the song by Lucy Lynch that I use as a mantra is I wish you joy, love, laughter, and abundance, happiness and peace in every morning sun dance. I want you to know that I'm here to support you and support you on its way. So go out and play. Show the world who you really are with just the way you live. Show the world who you really are with just the way you give your life. So I wish you love, laughter, and abundance, happiness and peace in every morning sun dance. So go out and play. And back to you, Kurt, because you're going to be 50 someday. Aloha. It's Marianne of Waikiki.
Thank you, Marianne. And Denise, I've been seeing your microphone coming on mute. Did you have something that was bubbling up, something ready to share, Denise?
Yeah, you mentioned before how this stems systemically, and that is so true, because I often tell people that one of the other issues that many people with disabilities are afraid to work, even if they want to even start their own businesses, right? Become self-employed. One of the major fears is that the system has made it so that if you need tremendous help financially to pay for your PAs, your personal care attendants, to come in and help you, it's so costly that unless we're making $300,000-$400,000 a year, and in your typical job, that is not likely. So they're afraid to work and lose the benefits that they need to live. So that is one of the biggest things that we need to advocate for, to have huge change in government so that they can allow people to work and earn a living wage, right? Because there's no way that you can earn $800 or even $1,000 a month and pay for rent, food, and more than anything else, the attending care that you need. Like just the services that I have, it's over $120,000 a year, $150,000 a year, in many instances. So it's just impossible for the government to believe that you can, work and still be able to live. And it's not even about the food and rent as much as it is for the care that you need to be able to get up to go to work, to get up to eat, to get up to just live, right? So that's the biggest thing that we need to advocate for. We need to be able to let people with disabilities work just like anybody else and earn the same salaries that anyone else can earn without being penalized, to either be able to live by having someone to help you live your life, get up, eat, bathe, get dressed, all that other stuff, go to the bathroom, right? Or work for a week, if you're lucky, and be able to pay for a couple of days of a PA service. So that's the biggest thing. Let's all get together and advocate for change so that people with disabilities can work and not be afraid of how much money they're earning.
I am all for that. definitely is something that we'll be maintaining here at the World of Ability to get that repetition going on that message, to keep that available and ready in advocacy and helping shape people's political views. I mean, that we have to get right down to it. We have to have a political stance that, Medicaid is not exactly where it could be. We have legislation out there that's called DIA, Disability Integration Act, and a lot of things that is being done at Capitol Hill that is not given the attention that I think it should. So, Denise, I'm glad that you brought that forth, because I believe that is part of what we're doing here at the World of Ability, is to get this information out there to get more informed voters.
May I just add to one more thing that you just said? When you talked about the DIA, the Disability Integration Act, that's been going on for so many years now. And it seems that we have legislation that is brought up, and then it's like everyone's all excited about it, and then it dies out and nothing happens after that. And the saddest thing in the world is that nothing gets done until it happens to you. And many people who are in politics, if they're healthy and they don't need any type of physical help, they're not going to think about it. But even politicians who earn $100,000, $200,000 a year, even with that high salary, that for the most part, that seems like a very high salary to many. But even with that salary, there's absolutely no way that they couldn't pay for a PA if they needed 24-hour assistance. They couldn't pay for that and pay for everything else that they need, because after they pay for their PA, they're lucky if they have 15 or 20,000 to live off of. That's a big number. So you're earning almost $200,000, but you're going to end up with $15,000 a year. Put that into perspective. Perhaps if they saw that number, then they might say, yeah, we need to change this. Because disability can happen to anyone at any time. I mean, it can even happen while you're in your house. Everyone thinks about having a car accident or so many other things that can create disabilities. But it can happen in your own home. You could be taking a shower, slip, fall, and become paralyzed. So it's something that we do need to think about in order to make change. What if this was me? What if it happens to me or a loved one? What would happen then? Do we want someone to always be looking over our shoulder? Or rather, do we want to always be looking over our shoulder? Are we dotting our I's and crossing our T's? Are we making $1 over the amount that we're allowed to make? No one likes to live in that fear. So we need to definitely work together to change this. Let's bring DIA back. Let's make noise. Let's get that happening. Or heck, let's just write up something better. DIA was thought up, I believe, 8 years ago, about 5 or 8 years ago. A lot's happened in 5 years. Let's write up something new and make that work.
I agree. Let's make that an initiative here as we're putting messages out there for our audience, and let's get some more Americans on board with that. Barbara, I want to check in with you a little bit here. I want to see what life experience you might have in this realm of, difficulty in financial planning, things that you may be aware of from the job sector, people having difficulty finding work, or just other stories to share to build off what we're talking about. Just kind of overcoming obstacles that people get in their life to do the work and be able to participate in community the way someone would like to. So anything come to mind, Barbara, along that line?
Well, what was coming to mind for me is that, right now I've got eyes that can see and ears that can hear, at least partially, but I'm so dumb, deaf, and blind, and I don't know when I'm going to communicate um, where I might be being insensitive, like I was wanting to tell Denise that like on Hollywood Beach, yeah, that they'll have ramps that go to the ocean, which I think is really is good. But what I know is that I just won a speech contest, and it was about love, and it was about talking about how the Chinese character for a human being is like these two like little stick figures that if one and they're leaning on each other so that if one moves, the other one would fall. If they weren't supporting each other, because they say being a human being, we need to know that we're interdependent with each other, and that's part of what it is to be a person. And I get help right now with friends that know that I like the beach too. I mean, two people like supporting me, walking with me so I don't fall, getting in the ocean, helping me get out. Uh, all this helping me change, and I feel so grateful. I feel like my mission is wanting to help create community, compassionate community. And it's easy to talk about. We know when a friend of ours showed up at my door with just a one-way ticket to me and no way back, no money and all. I'm like, what are we talking about? Caring about each other and helping each other. Like how much, what, how much can we give? But I love the idea of the time bank instead of the money bank, where because I thought I could do any job for like a couple of weeks and like really love it. So with the time bank, you say, this is something that I need. And then someone who has the ability to give that, to share that, can show up and spend as much time as seems to be needed to get that job done, whether it's, creating a farm off your land or whatever people are, technology help. And then they have time in the time bank. They put in how much time they spent helping someone else, and then they put in what their dream is, what their need is, and somebody else can show up and with that amount of time, give that amount of time to help the other person with what they're needing. And I'm working with Looming with other women to create a society that's no longer where people are working jobs that they don't believe in, that they hate, that is killing them just to keep a roof over their heads. That we become more of a gifting society to understand each other's dreams and each other's needs, and we start knowing each other better like this, and helping each other more. And I know that it's a terrible thing when you're so afraid to have any money, because being afraid to lose benefits that you worked so hard to get. And I've seen that even if you're getting so little, but you know what it was like when you didn't have that, so yeah, so that kind of compassion. I was told that it's a problem in the United States, that it seems like people care more about money than other people, that's capitalism, and how we turn it around. So I mean, Denise is making a really important point, where people are afraid to become happier, to grow in their lives, because they're so afraid of losing the foundation that they have right then. And it's so silly that we do that to each other, and we need to learn how to take these fears away and let people know, hey, got your back. We really are caring about each other. It's not about the law. And yeah, I want to talk a lot about how crazy people get, and we got to follow the law, and keep order and keep things, that kind of fear. I had two things I'd love to say about that. I had a friend, he helped build in Washington, D.C., the subway system, where it takes your money and then, gives you this card, and the card zooms you through to get to different trains. When you can do that, I showed up where he lived, and he's crying, and he's saying, my people have lost their soul, their spirit. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said there was a soldier, and he knew that there was going to be genocide happening, that these people were going to get murdered. But he thought he had to go up the chain of command to communicate about that. And because of that, so many people got hurt. And this old guy's crying because he's saying, we need to know we're all general of generals, and to understand how silly people get about that, having problems changing rules, changing order. There's a movie called The Reader, and it's a true story about this boy during the Nuremberg trials, who he gets very sick, and he's in a hallway, and this woman sees him, and she's so compassionate. She brings him in her home and cleans him up, and she says she wants to learn how to read more than anything. If he could teach her to read, she'd be so grateful. And then he's a lawyer, and he's going to work with the Nuremberg trials. And he finds out that she was one of the worst Nazi criminals, because she was the woman that, when all these children, all these people were burning in this building that they were locked in, she had the key, and she could have let them out. And the question was, why wouldn't she open the door? She's here. She knows what's happening to these people. And she had such a fear of losing control. She was supposed to keep order, and that was her job, the law and order. And I think, that's an extreme example of the fear people have of losing control of the way the laws work and the way the law goes, and I'd like to bring that into people's consciousness, that, hey, that's kind of silly, that's, all kinds of versions of that story, where you're wondering, why are people talking more about money, and how things are supposed to work, than having compassion and hearing that other being, and what they're feeling and what they're saying, and be willing to take responsibility and help. So I wanted to say that. Was I articulate and audible and coherent?
Absolutely. So I'm going to check in with Denise for potentially saying goodbye here. Take it away, Denise.
Yeah, thank you. This is great. As always, I love spending time with everyone here. Barbara, Marianne, our loyal guests are always here with us, so thank you for that. And yeah, let's just remember that there's a world of ability out there, and we need to learn to live creatively each and every single day. And until we see you again next week, I'm Denise Vargas. Always awesome to be here. So until then, stay happy, stay positive, and always live creatively. See you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I loved your speech today too, Kurt. I liked your dynamic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, everybody, if anybody wants to contact me as a result of what we talked about, or anything that comes to mind for the business of these shows, feel free to call or text me at 262-3721-SKI. That's 262-372-1754. And also I can be emailed at Kurt, K-U-R-T, at thedisabilitychannel.us. And I welcome everybody to check out the remarkable work by Marcus Hart, our podcast mogul, and the enterprise here of Transform U Media Network, transformu.us, and go right into our broadcast work, transformubroadcast.com, and with our podcast, Transform U Podcasts, plural with an S at the end.com, transformupodcasts.com. And with all the U's in there, it's just the letter U for the brand Transform U. So with that, we've had a great show here. Again, big thanks to the guests, Marianne, Barbara, and Denise, and the work by Emily. And big thanks to all the social media activity out there with reacting with likes and other reactions, and sharing and commenting, and just being a part of our social media community. And take a visit over onto Facebook, with that World of Ability group on Facebook. It says right there, it's for everybody, just like these shows and how we are shaping the world here at the World of Ability. That'll do it for today. Thanks again, everybody. And just like Denise said, we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.